You can definitely find a spouse in the UN. I did, but I'm not allowed to talk about that now. I am going to be very serious and explain to you how to be strategic when you apply to the UN, but any other organization. Even though all our jobs are advertised, we have many applicants from Spain and from all over the world. How long does a recruiter spend looking at your application? How many? 5 minutes? Any other? 1 minute, 10 minutes? A good recruiter probably would spend 30 seconds. A quick one who is very effective, maybe 12 to 15. Is it because they're lazy? No. It's because they know what they're looking for, and you need to stand out. You need, when you're looking for a job, to remember one thing. It's not about you. It's about what you can do for us. And you need to be able to show that in paper, through your application. And how do you do that? Before you even think about doing an application, you have to familiarize yourself with the organization to which you're applying. Do you think you would do the same application for Google as you would to Coca-Cola? No, they're different. They have different cultures. Well, the UN has a unique culture. And even within the UN, we have different organizations which have different emphasis. So you need to do your homework. We're here today to give you the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. But if you're serious, you need to spend time. And looking for a job is a job, especially when you don't have one. I know this because I did it too. I'm going to tell you some ways in which you can familiarize yourself with any organization, even if you know nothing about it. There are clues. One of the clues is how we write our job openings. The language we use to describe the responsibilities of the job, to describe the skills we're looking for, to describe the competencies. It's all there. How many people here have seen a UN job opening? Raise your hands. They're not short, are they? We give a lot of information. If you start reading them, which I'm not saying to do regularly, but if you read 20 different jobs in your area, you're going to start to understand how we describe the jobs and how you should frame your experience, right? So you go on our website and you can search all the jobs to find out what level would be useful for you, to find out what areas your skill set would lend itself. How many people here have at least 5 years of experience? Excelente. Because all of the jobs advertised at all of our organizations pretty much require at least 5 years of experience. So this is very good. You have the experience. Now it's up to you to target your experience for a specific job. This is an example of a page on our website which lists all the agencies. You can also Google all the UN Common System agencies. But my point is, don't just get 1 or 2 UN organizations in your mind. Look broadly, because you didn't know about UNFPA before you came here, right? And I don't know if there are a lot of health professionals or not, but that is a good place if you're a health professional. So there may be organizations which you're not familiar with that are part of the UN system, which may have opportunities for you. Here's an example of UNFPA's website. This is United Nations volunteers. We all have our own websites. Unfortunately, you can't just do one great application and have it go to all the UN system for every job. You have to go to the individual organization website and fill out the application. But the good news is that once you do one, it's much easier to do the other because you can save it and cut and paste. So once you have familiarized yourself with the general culture of an organization, you are then ready to look for jobs for yourself. So you see a few and understand what the job is and understand the location. If you don't want to work in South Sudan, should you apply for a job in South Sudan? I mean, you laugh, but you think, oh, I'll just apply. But if you go through the process, which is a long process and takes a lot of time both on your part and ours, and at the end are offered a position in South Sudan and have no interest in going there, it will tarnish your credibility and just be a waste of everyone's time. So you should never apply for a job that you wouldn't take. But by the same token, you should never just rule out something because it's different. I never thought I would work in Rwanda or Haiti without electricity, without running water. But I didn't, and it was part of the best experience of my life. A lot of people think, oh, I have to work in New York, I have to work in Geneva. But many of our field locations are where the action is and where it's happening and where you're going to build long-lasting friendships. So be open, but be honest with yourself. So once you apply, once you're ready to apply, you will fill out the application. For the Secretariat, the platform we use is Inspira. Has anybody filled out an application in Inspira? And you didn't, I'm not going to say it. Okay. And I was going to make a joke, but I don't think my boss would think it was funny. But it was a long process, yes? And it takes time to do it well. You don't need to do it in one sitting. You can save it, you can think about it. In fact, you should reflect on it. Once you do it once, it's there. You can save it forever and just keep modifying and updating it for other jobs. So it's worth taking the time. This is UNFPA's form. In our application, we ask for a lot of information, and you really need to put in the right dates, put in the right names, put in your right nationality. We're not trying to be nosy. If you ask some of these questions in my country, it's against the law. Like, how much do you weigh? You cannot ask that in America. But we ask that because we have health reasons, there are medical reasons. We ask about your family because this is going to impact on your entitlements. It's not going to hurt you if you have 8 children. It's just we need to know what the entitlements are. We ask about your nationalities because there are many countries that we work in where sometimes it could be a problem. So it doesn't mean that you can't get a job. We want all nationalities, but we want to have all this information pretty much in one place at one time. We also are going to ask you your languages. Of course, it's an additional, I guess, bonus if you speak any of the UN languages, and you already speak 2. You speak Spanish and English. So if you speak French, and these are all, you don't need to unless you need to speak English or French. Those are the working languages. And anything else is a bonus unless you're going to be an interpreter. So you guys have that down. Don't worry about the languages. If you speak other languages, we want to know those too. We'll also ask you your references. Many people think if they put somebody important or someone famous as their references, it's really going to help them. It isn't. We only look at your references when we're ready to hire you. And then it's important that one of your references is someone we can get in contact with. So if I put George Clooney as my reference, it's going to be, well, first of all, I don't really know him, so that wouldn't be honest. But second of all, even if I did kind of know him, it wouldn't be very good for me because when they're trying to get me on board, they're never going to be able to find him in Italy or wherever he is. So you want to put people who know you. We're going to ask you for all your supervisors, all your bosses. So this could be people who know you, professors, personal friends, families. Now this is the key. You do this part in the Word document, and then you're going to cut and paste it into the Inspira. Everybody has had at least 5 years of experience. So that means you could have one job or maybe 2 jobs, or if you have 10 years experience, 3 jobs. I don't even know how many jobs I've had in 20 years, but it's a lot. So the bad news is that the more experience you have, the more time it's going to take you to fill out this application, and the more carefully you need to do it. You can't just put, I've worked at the UN for 20 years and leave it at that. I have to put every single job I have. And this is actually a good thing because it showcases my various skills. I can do straight law, I can do communications, I can do administrative law. So you want to, even if you work for the same organization, show your different roles and functions. Is that clear? Vale, listo? No, and if you've worked for different organizations, the same thing. We really want to know when you started, when you left, whether you were paid, whether you were not paid. We only count professional experience, which is paid experience, after your first level degree. So if you got a first level degree and you worked for 2 years and then you got a master's and worked for 3 years, that would count as 5 years. That doesn't mean you shouldn't put down all your internships and all your volunteer work, because that goes to who you are as a person, and that does make a difference for us. Now, this is important. When you're describing your work, you want to keep in mind the job that you're applying for, right? You want to be strategic. So we can't change our history, our work, our professional experience, but we can highlight certain things and emphasize certain aspects. So depending on the job, you might want to emphasize working with the government, or making presentations, or writing legal opinions, or building bridges, or analyzing data, depending on what it is. So you list your duties, which are your responsibilities, which are the actions you undertake every day. But we also want to know what your achievements are. What are the results? And the results could be maintained the budget for an NGO with 200,000 people and $7 billion and managed to cut costs, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be organized an event which drew 60 people from 30 different countries, which was a success. Or I'll tell you something I did, because my boss is here and it's coming to the evaluation period. So I'm going to tell you one of my achievements. I started a social media 2 years ago, I know nothing about IT, remember? So actually, this is something an intern who was very smart helped me with, and these were the criteria. There could be no cost to the UN. So no cost. This had to be something that I could maintain every day. Has anybody gone on UN Careers Facebook? I am the face behind UN Careers Facebook. So we started this about actually 3 years ago, April, and we have a UN Careers Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So it's UN Careers LinkedIn. So please, everybody like it and come and join. But what it does is, here we are in Spain speaking to you, but now we have a reach of over 20 languages to 120 countries. So not everybody is lucky that they can come and talk to us and ask questions, because we just cannot afford to go to every single country. But this is a way that anybody can have access, and we answer all your questions and we give you information. And I think it's a huge achievement because it's at no cost to the UN, and it spreads the word. So it's just one other way to communicate with people interested. So that's what I'm talking about. You could say it in less lines, though. This is the most important thing. This is the tipping point. Do you have that expression in Spanish? This is something where it's really going to draw the recruiter's attention to your application. If we have 1,000 people that apply for a job, the computer is going to screen out the candidates that don't have the right education for that job or don't have the requisite number of years of experience. But after that, we may be left with 700 candidates that a recruiter, a real live person, is going to look at and try to compare their experience to the job. And if people start to look interesting, they're going to look at your cover letter. And if you have a strategic cover letter which is tailored to this job, which shows why you, even if you're not the perfect fit, but you have this skill set that would be useful for me in hiring you, this is going to put you in the short pile. Then we may invite you to take a technical assessment. Don't be scared. A technical assessment could be anything from a writing test to, if you're an economist, some kind of mathematical problem. But basically, it's not geared to, it is geared to weed people out, and it's geared to assess your technical abilities, but there's no, I think, benefit on being on the inside. We're all scared to do these. It's just you have to try. There's no necessarily right answer unless it's a statistics exam, and they're looking for your analytic skills, your drafting ability, your reasoning, and just to take the test because you have nothing to lose. And then when you do this great application, you pass your technical assistant, we are going to call you for an interview.